How do you make a video? So the very first thing that you should consider is creating a storyboard. I recommend that you use canva.com. You can make a free account there, and it's a web based software that allows you to create various graphical assets. Among those, there's also Storyboard. They have several templates, and then, well, if you get the premium subscription, you have more features, but even the free account is pretty good. And you can see an example that I used here on the right. And the idea is that you put in every part of the storyboard something that represents what is happening there, what kind of voiceover there's going to be, and then if you have titles, you can put them there in between, like the various scenes, so that you have a structure of what needs to happen. Because when you have that, you can read it out loud or try to figure out how long it takes to go through it, and then you can start working for real on each shot. You need to write the script down. What will happen most likely is that first you will write too much. Then when you try to read it and you realize, okay, this is taking too long, then you will have to shave some of it. At least this is what happens to me all the time. If you are the one that is talking to the camera, I have an example here. I want to show it very briefly. It's not for a gaming project, but it's an extremely interesting script for a video, and I think it's worth if you spend some time and check it out. So let's quickly check it. Right, so the campaign is the campaign for something called the blackest black paint in the world, the Black 3.0. As I mentioned, not a gaming product, but this kind of paint that absorbs light. I really like the script of this one. It's long, so I think you should check it out by yourself. There's going to be the link in the notes of the lesson, because this is very, like, even though it's long, you really want to see until the end, because the story is so compelling of how this came to be. There's everything in this video. There's a cool product. There is some struggle from artists. There's a prank. There's some competition between different artists and the visions of what art is. So it's really compelling, and just to give you an idea of what you can do with the script, this is a great example. So let's go back to the slides. What do you need to take a good video? So first of all, you need some equipment. Right now, smartphones are very good at taking videos, so a smartphone is a good option as long as you have a separate microphone that takes the audio and then you put the two things together. Otherwise, you can get a DSLR camera, like for example the one that you see in the picture. You don't need a very expensive one. Even the cheap entry-level ones are good enough for what you're doing. The main issue with those cameras is that you definitely need somebody that is operating it, while with the phone you might be able to even do it by yourself. And then you need lights, because according to the lighting condition, the video will look cheap or professional. When it comes to the software, you have various options. I use Premiere mostly, sometimes After Effects, but it's a difficult program, so sometimes I need to ask for help for it. Then if you're on Mac, you have Final Cut Pro X, iMovie, and then on Windows there's even the photo app helps you edit videos on a basic level. And as I mentioned, if you have another person that is helping you with this, it's going to be a lot easier. You can do some things by yourself, but if you want to do something professional, you need somebody who can hold the camera for you, who can place the lights properly. If you have to do it by yourself, it's going to be very tricky. Talking about lights, getting the right illumination for a scene, it's really not trivial, and it's going to take you a lot of tries, especially if you cannot go outside, there's no natural light, it's the middle of winter, whatever it is. You're gonna need some guidance, and in the link that you are gonna find in the notes of the lesson, I'm linking this guide, which is super useful to make you understand what happens when you place the light in a certain position. Now, you don't need this kind of cinema lights or photo lights. You can also use, if you live in the Nordics especially, there are some powerful lamps that emit this white light, which is supposed to simulate the sunlight. I know it sounds sad, but this is what you need if you live in Scandinavia. So those actually work pretty well for this purpose. They're not the easiest to direct, but you can use them if you don't want to spend money. When it comes to the soundtrack, I would recommend that you either use a custom soundtrack, so somebody makes it for you, or you use Creative Commons music. The other option is that you purchase the license for an existing song. So if you have a friend or you know a professional that you can afford, that can make an original score for your video, go for that, because probably that's the best result you can get, in the sense that you are gonna dictate the rhythm of the video and then the soundtrack will follow. While if you acquire the song first, you will need to edit the video according to the soundtrack you already have. There's a lot of Creative Commons music. I have some links here that you will find in the notes of the lesson. And well, the main issue here is that you're gonna have to go through a lot of music before finding something that works for you. So save some hours for this job, because it's gonna take you some time to listen to all the existing material. And then, as I mentioned, you can purchase licenses for tracks that have already been made by professionals that are selling them through various websites. I use one website that is called Envato Elements. You pay a yearly subscription, and then you can access a lot of assets, including music, jingles, but also graphical assets or plugins for editing software, etc. It's pretty convenient if you plan to use it a lot. When it comes to the video, one element you need to consider is the thumbnail. The thumbnail will be shown when the video is not being played, and it will also be shown in the lists where your campaign will appear. So what you need to make sure is that it is understandable even at a small dimension, which is not true for all the thumbs. So don't write things that are too small to read when the size becomes of the thumbnail becomes small. And well, in the example here on the right, there might be, for example, probably you will not be able to read this Aspire RPG source book, but definitely you will be able to read this strata. So as long as the main thing of the image is understandable, then I think you're going to be good. If it has a very strong color, it's probably easier for people to notice it. And as you can see here, the first one is very strong on the warm tones of yellow and red and orange. Second one the same, and the third one is betting everything on blue. One interesting thing of the second one is that it showcases the box of the game, which I think it's quite interesting. So it also can help get backers' attention. So the things you should focus on this thumbnail are conveying the kind of action and mystery, the mood of the game, the name of the game, like in this Strata example, or if you look at Saltlands, how the box will look. That's something that also gamers kind of like. Yeah, one thing that came up recently with one of the clients I'm following. He was suggesting to use an image that it's not easy to associate to the game, because it is part of the game. It was a creature from the game, but you wouldn't be able to say from what product that is from without knowing the game already. And I suggested him to change it in a way that you need to make sure that if people end up on your bookmark page and they see that small picture, because that thumbnail will appear also there, they will be able in the future to associate that thumbnail they already saw with, I don't know, the box of the game or the main color of the game or the page of the game when they see it again. Like, can they make the connection? Because it's not something you can take for granted. So don't make a thumbnail that if you don't see in context, you will never be able to associate with that game. So what happened with this client is that we changed the thumbnail, and now the thumbnail on the bookmark page shows the box of the game. That means that when the campaign will launch, people will go on the page, they will see the same box, and they will remember. So this is a very important thing. As I mentioned, high contrast for the colors. And yeah, you can use badges. For example, you can see in the Saltland, there's the badge Last Days on Kickstarter. Kickstarter has some official ones, templates that you can download and use for this purpose. Now here the legend has different versions. Someone says that Kickstarter doesn't like it much when you put badges on the pictures. Someone says that it doesn't matter, and actually it might bring more people in. I don't know which one is true. There's no confirmation of this, but Kickstarter does offer some official banners and stickers and stuff that you can attach to your thumbnail to signal like just launched, the last days, and things like that. So I would imagine that if they're at the very least, they're fine with their own. So they're not beautiful, but probably it's what Kickstarter wants to see. So if you want to use them, probably I would suggest to use those. Now, when it comes to the budget, you need to decide, like, do you have the equipment? Do you have the skills? Do you have the time? Do you have all three? You have only 2 out of 3? Make this assessment for your own situation. If you need to start from scratch, I think that, and you want to go, for example, with the camera, then you need to buy the camera. So the budget could be, an example, camera could be 450 euros. The mic could be 20 euros for the cheapest one. I have one that it's much more expensive. It's the one depicted in the previous slide, and I'm very happy with it. So 20 euros is the bare minimum to get a mic that somewhat records something. The software, 50 euros here. For example, if you subscribe to one of the Adobe programs just for 1 month that you need to edit the video, it's going to be about 50 euros. The lights, the cheapest you can get are around 60 euros. And music license can go up to 80 euros, but if it's part of a bigger subscription, then somewhat the price per asset is going to be a lot lower. And then here I add a filming day, 200 euros if you need to pay somebody to help you, or you need to buy food or dinner or lunch or whatever. It's going to be more or less that amount. So I think if you want to do everything professionally, you don't have the skills, it's going to be around 800 to 1,000 euros, more or less. But you can do it for free if you have some of these things already, and if you have some friends that are going to help. No matter what, do not spend more than 10,000 euros or $10,000 to make a video, because you are not going to recoup this money. It doesn't matter how cool your video is. It's not the main part of the campaign. It's probably not why people back. It's one of the elements that help them make a decision. So do not spend too much money on the video. It's just not worth the money.